Hey, live. Let's turn this thing off, should we? Welcome. All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live number 131 or some number, some crazy number. Today we're going to talk about what is the Passaggio in singing. Is it the highway to heaven? Sometimes you wonder. It feels like that once in a while. So I want to say hi to those who've been waiting around. Ryan, hey, nice to have you here. He says, I've set a reminder. My time here is 4 a.m. Oh my gosh, Ryan, you are one devoted guy. Hey Joe, nice to have you here today. So today, let me just say this to let you know what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about four things. What is the Passaggio in singing? Why is it important? Where is it in our voices specifically? And why is Passaggio and why is the Passaggio in singing? Let's see, why? We've already got that. Why is the Passaggio in singing hard? Why is it hard? So, all right, here's the question of the day. What's the difference? Is there a difference between the Passaggio and the bridge? Yes or no in the comments below. What do you think? Is there a difference between the Passaggio and the bridge? Just real quick in the comment section. Yes, there's a difference. No, there's no difference. Just yes or no. Make it easy. Let me know what you think. So, Ryan, how are you this morning? And I hope you went to sleep and then got up and haven't been waiting up all night to watch this. So I'm honored. I'm honored that you would be joining us at your crazy hour of the morning. Okay, so I remember years ago, and I've heard Mr. Seth Riggs talk about this. He was listening to, he was reading in the LA Times, and there was a report by one of the arts, music and arts writers for the Times of an interview with Pavarotti. And Pavarotti was talking about, and Seth was reading this, he was talking about how singing is like a figure eight, kind of a continuous figure eight. And Seth started thinking about that. What would be, what does he mean by this continuous figure eight? And that's the way Pavarotti was describing this feeling of singing, and it was kind of like this kind of a concept where it was just this continuous. It could go up, I guess. Start here and go upward. The figure eight. And Seth started thinking about this. He actually called the writer and talked to him about it. And Seth started thinking about this and really felt like what Pavarotti was referring to was the Passaggio. And so that begs the question then, is there more than one Passaggio? So in other words, if Pavarotti is talking about this is one area, then you're going into this passageway, this Passaggio, and it opens up into another area, and then it narrows down again into another, and so forth. So it's quite a powerful concept, and I've experienced that feeling that, and then, so Seth assigned that meaning to what Pavarotti said, and I think it's accurate. I think Seth was is right on with that analysis, that figure eight that he was talking about, this continuous feeling of opening up and then narrowing in and then opening back up and narrowing in and so forth, is this Passaggio. Jose Garcia, no difference. Okay, Marty says, greetings from Calgary. Great to have you. Passaggio is the bridge, I think. Feels like it. Okay, I don't know if there's a difference. I didn't think so. Peter, hi, nice to have you here. So, should I answer the question? Let's hold on just a second. So far, I think you're all 100%. All right. Now, let's just get right after it, should we? Number one, what is the passaggio in singing? Well, let me see if I can get real, oh gosh, I don't think I can do it. I was going to show you this thing, but it's a little bit out of focus. So I've got a definition of of the passaggio from Wikipedia, which we all know and believe is the source of all truth. But it says, looking at the thing here, passaggio is an Italian word, and is a term used in classical singing to ascribe the transition between the vocal registers. The passaggi, or plural, of the voice lies between the different vocal registers, such as chest voice, where any singer can produce a powerful sound, the middle voice, and the head voice, where a powerful and resonant sound is accessible only through vocal training. Historic Italian school of singing describes primo passaggio and the secondo passaggio through a zona di passaggio in the male voice, and so forth. A major goal of classical voice training in classical styles is to maintain an even timbre through the passaggio. Through proper training, it is possible to produce a resonant and powerful sound. Excuse the voice, I don't know what's going on. This only happens when I go live. So, yes, the answer is the passaggio and the bridge are the same. And in this reference I just read to you in Wikipedia, they cite the primary bridge or primary passaggio and a secondary passaggio. There's actually multiple passaggios, multiple bridges, about roughly every tritone up the scale. There is another bridge. So it is a transition zone. I like to think of it as exactly what it sounds like, passaggio, passageway. It is. It might even be thought of as a highway to heaven because you're going up into another area of the voice, which when you get there is like sometimes referred to as another room. It's another place in the voice. Now, before I knew about this, well, does it sound strange to say that I didn't know about this passaggio in the human voice until I was almost 44 years old? And even then, it took a while to understand. It was difficult for me to understand. So we're going to answer the question then. We know. So the answer to number one is, what is it in the singing? In singing, it's a passageway from one area of the voice to another. The primary bridge that we all experience initially is the critical one, because what happens there will cause the other bridges to either come together or to fall apart and sink. It'll just, that first bridge really has a tremendous impact on the other bridges. We can usually trace problems. If someone says, I do okay in the first bridge, but the second bridge just gets really squeezed and really tight for me, or the third bridge, we can almost always trace the preceding bridge. And in actuality, you can almost always go to the first bridge and begin to find some areas there of where it's not optimal yet, and that's why that starts to catch up with you as you go into the other bridges. So it's a really, really important part of the voice. And so in short, if we're in chest voice, when you start to feel the panic, you start to feel that you start to feel the vibration moving up, and it gets right about here, and we just don't know what it feels like. I didn't. I didn't know what it felt like for the voice, for the vibration to shift through that area. It just felt like a ceiling. Felt like I was hitting the top of my voice. And so I stopped there. I stopped at what I thought was the ceiling, the top, the extreme top of my voice. I stopped there because the only way I could get through it was, I could go into falsetto. Never, it didn't work on stage. Or I could yell, and then of course it would be flat, distorted. It sounded as good as that, and just was not it's not an option. So I just simply stopped there. I wouldn't go any higher because I thought it was the end, the upper end of my voice, just like the lower end. So I had this is my granddaughter and my grandson who are staying with us today. You guys go ahead and close the door, please. I'm talking to people right now. They're darling children, but I won't take time to introduce you. And so, if this is new to you, please understand that what you think might be the top, like you think the bottom is, I can't go any lower than that, okay? Once you think might be the top of your range, the top of your voice, is not. It is, particularly for the guys. Ladies, you may think that there's a place in your voice that is the top, and the only way to go beyond that is to crack and break into the falsetto. It's not true. You can extend that tone onward, up and up in a connected fashion. It doesn't have to go into falsetto. But you do have to know how to get through the passaggio, the passageway, or the bridge. And that is why it is important. I beg please forgive me for this frog in my throat. Nope, we talked about this last week, I think, or at least it may be in my Friday video. Now, it took me a long time to be able to believe, first of all, that I could do that, and then longer to do it. However, as a teacher, I can generally get, and I did, I experienced it almost immediately. And there are ways to experience traveling through the passaggio, through this bridge, into upper notes. I have told people that it's very possible that you may gain an octave in your voice. This is especially true for men who stop singing like I do, stopped at the E above middle C, or the ladies who they might gain an octave of more of connected tone after the so-called break area disappears. So for me, that's where I stopped. Now, that wasn't falsetto, that was a connected tone. Scratchy, albeit. So it just was miraculous for me. So the passaggio then is important because it opens up into another room. So if you think about what Pavarotti was saying about this figure 8, it opens up into another room, but then as you approach the next bridge, it begins to narrow again. Narrow? Well, what does that mean? It means you have to modify the tone somewhat. You can't just take an open, wide tone and expect it to fit right into the next bridge. Ah, it's not going to go there. Ah, there's a narrowing that occurs, believe it or not. And then it opens back up. Can you hear that? How that kind of opened up a little bit there? That's the second bridge, actually. And so another room, another bridge. So it opens back up. And as I approach the third bridge, or in this case, in my case, 1, 2, my fourth bridge, it does the same thing. It starts to narrow and so forth. So that concept of that Pavarotti referred to, I think, is an amazing concept and understandable. For me, it makes a lot of sense. Okay. Let me just take a comment or two here, and then we'll go on to answer where is it in our voices, and also why is the Passaggio singing to the Passaggio hard. So let me just say, hey, nice to have you guys here. So Joe asks, she says, it confuses me because I only have one break that I'm aware of. So yeah, there's not a break. It's a good point, Joe, and there's not a break in between every single bridge. But so what you do experience, though, is a different tonal experience. Why? Because some of the tones of the lower voice, wherever you're coming from, begin to dampen off, begin to shut down, so to speak, and other overtones begin to kick in as you go into the next bridge. And it's in reverse too. If you're coming down from a higher bridge, those higher overtones begin to shut down and the lower ones begin to kick in. And so it's fairly orderly, and it's governed by laws of physics and resonance and all those kinds of things, that where vibrations vibrate and what pitch and what size space and so forth. And so you have overtones that come and go as you traverse the different bridges. So it doesn't necessarily have to break. And interestingly enough, in the upper bridges, probably less so than in the first bridge. So good, Joe. You're still in the dark about the other bridges, and we'll touch on those today, or the other passaggi. Leo B, yeah, I scream like this. Leo, you should not scream. It's bad for the voice. Okay. Nino. Hello, Nino. Hugs from Brazil. Nice to have you here today. Thank you. Ryan Legends, if, let's say I'm baritone, and, let me see here, and my Passaggio is at F4, it's actually at F3, but F4 is definitely in the Passaggio. Where would I break in that note when singing? Should I use my chest up to F4 and then switch to mixed, or should I use my mixed and even before F4? Great question. Go into your mix early. Get into it before you hit F4. You should be into a mix by the time you're at the E4. And it's even okay to go into your mix earlier. You could start bridging at E flat 4 or even D4. Maybe even C sharp 4. So if I said, oh, I'm starting the bridge. Oh, E flat, oh. If I stay in the key, oh, that's the, oh. It's always okay to bridge early. It's never okay to bridge late. You don't want to pull chest voice higher. The larynx will rise if you do. So this answers one reason why the passaggio is so important. Why singing in the passaggio is hard is because if we don't, or if we're inexperienced or we haven't learned how to do it, the mistake we almost always make, and there's a couple, is we start pulling the chest up. So once you learn to bridge and once you learn to begin to enter into your mixed voice, which occurs in that bridge area, particularly as we're talking about it today, then we want to get in early, and we don't want to be pulling up the chest voice, because what you're going to find is it's going to cause an abrupt change. It's likely, if you're pulling the chest voice up, that you'll go very, very light if you stay connected at all. High probability you're just going to crack. So you want to get into it and get into it a little bit before. There's no reason why not. And you'll develop a stronger and stronger mixed voice there, and after a while, no one would be able to tell you're actually in a mix. So if I said, there's not a lot of variation in those. You don't hear a big switch or big change. But that's taken a while for me to be consistent in those notes. So, Ryan, good question. Get in earlier. Don't wait. Your English is great. I cannot speak your language at all. So thank you for your work on that. Leo says, mix is the way. Yup. Abby. Hi, Abby. We do have more than one bridge, but we tackle them one at a time. And I think that's a great point. And in fact, let me add to what Abby says. We tackle the first bridge first. We'll come back to that, because where is that first bridge? For some of us, it's a different place. Hamant, Sharma, nice to have you here today. Hi. I have learned so many things from your videos, even though I sing Indian songs in Hindi. Awesome. I'm very gratified that you are, and I'm gratified that they're helping you. So thank you very much for joining us today. Landa, nice to have you here with us again today, Landa. Hemant says, Hemant, H-E-M-A-N-T. Specifically the way you have taught how to sing high notes. Thanks, because that's really a lot. That's by far and away what singers tell me they want when they're first coming to see me. What is it you have problems with? I can't hit high notes, or I've lost the ones I used to have. And so it's for me it was like so thrilling to be able to learn about the passaggio and to get through it, so that I had these upper notes that I'd never dreamed of before. Hi, Leo B says, Mr. Chuck, I like to learn about this. Good. All right. So I'm hoping this is going to be helpful for all of you. Thanks a lot for the answer. You're welcome, Ryan. Riddick Sharma, how much time will it take to become a good singer? Depends, Riddick. Do you want to just sing to your child as you put him or her to sleep, or do you want to sing on a world tour to hundreds of thousands, if not millions? Also, it depends. So it depends on the size of your goals. It also depends on your gift. Do you have kind of a natural gift to sing, or do you have a hard time hearing the pitch? The answers to those questions have a huge impact on how long it's going to take. I would say, I'll share a story with you, Pavra, and I tell the story almost every week. Someone asked Pavarotti, who is the one of premier world famous tenors of all time. Um, well, he showed a demonstration and he said, ah, 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 and he said, ah. It's just a little bit open. He said, now that sounds okay, but it's not elegant. And then he demonstrated, this magnificent F4 that was Ryan. Ah, ah, and he just had this great, big, huge, wonderful, gorgeous F4. And he said, now that might sound easy, or that might sound simple. Take maybe 10 years. So the answer, Riddick, is difficult to give you. I would say, on average, if you just want to get better and get through the bridge and be able to sing some songs in your high voice, I think it takes a couple years, 18 months to 2 years, to get really comfortable. And when I first found this technique, I had been studying it about 11 months before I got back into my first performing musical. And so, it takes a while to build your confidence. It takes a while to build your comfort level again. I had done it earlier in my life, but because of the problem of not being able to sing higher, and it took me 6 months, probably 6 months, to sing in front of an audience, a group of other students. So it's different for all of us. Leo B says, how to make a full mixed voice? Low larynx, help with this? Yes, Leo, for sure. What you're trying to do is get rid of the squeeze. So let me get a couple more questions. We'll answer these comments, and then we'll answer the rest of these questions. Rika says, could you give me some exercises to improve belting? No, I don't teach belt. I teach mix, and so I don't have any exercise for you, Riddick. Sorry. I mean, I can give you some exercises with nay, nay, nay that will probably help, give you a little bit more strength and power in the bridge and in the upper voice. But as far as belting, I don't have exercises for belt. Ivan says, how come most singers don't have training, but they can still sing high? How come most singers don't have training? I don't know that that's true, Ivan. I don't know that most singers have not had training. But you make a point, and that is there are plenty of great singers out there who've never had a lesson. They were born that way. They're born with a gift. They inherited genetically from a family member who was a good singer also, and they inherited it from their family member. And so, yeah, there are people who just have the gift. I'm not one of them. I couldn't do it naturally. I didn't have vibrato in my voice. I had no vibrato. I was told that if you weren't born with it, you don't have it. So, I'm one of the undeserving poor vocally. I'm in a show right now, and that's one of the quotes from the show. I'm playing Alfred P. Diddle. I'm supposed to be speaking in Cockney, in the London Cockney accent. So he says, what am I? I'm one of the undeserving poor, that's what I am. Well, I'm one of the undeserving poor vocally. I wasn't born with a gift. But what I teach you, I learned from Seth Riggs and some of his other teachers, and he figured out a way to get through this bridge. Huge, huge change in my life. Gigantic change in my life. Okay, so let me stop there because I got to get to these other questions here. Where is it in our voices specifically? Should we go for a ride? Let's go for a ride. Okay, this is my studio here. And right down here is my piano keyboard. Let me pull this out here. All right, so now this is going to be, oh, I don't want to make you sick. Here's middle C, or C4. So, generally speaking, for the men, it's right here. E, F, F sharp. Okay? For the ladies, it's the A above, here's middle C, E, B flat, B, C, and by C sharp, you're all the way through. Now, for some men who have a very deep voice, which I've got quite a bit of heft in the bottom, that's the low D, kind of growling that. But, so I start feeling the bridge. I really feel it on the B. I have all my life. So for the basso cantata or a basso profondo with a really deep, heavy voice, the heavier voices will bridge lower. So for the men, they bridge on the A below middle C. Here's middle C. They bridge here. A, B flat, B, C. Recognize that? That's an octave lower than the soprano. So that's where a true bass will bridge. Now, also some of the ladies have a very deep voice. They could sing down in here. They sing down to E, G, C. I've got some contraltos that sing B, B flat. They bridge here, where the baritones and the tenors bridge, okay? So, depending on whether the deeper voices, the men are here on the A below middle C, the deeper voices for the ladies are the E. For most baritones, tenors, and many basses, they bridge here, E, F, F sharp. Sopranos, mezzos, many altos. The A, B flat, B, C. That's the C above middle C. Here's middle C. Or that's the C5, in other words. Okay, does that help? All right, so that's the first bridge. Hope I didn't make you seasick on that movement there. Now, so let's talk for a second about, so that's where the Passaggio, the first Passaggio is, the first bridge. Now, as mentioned already, there's more than one. And so if we think of where the guys bridge, the E, F, F sharp, well, let me tell you, you'll want to spend most of your time working on this first bridge, no matter what your voice is. Because the better that is, the better the next one's going to be. The next bridge for typical a baritone, a tenor, many basses, is where the ladies bridge. Isn't that a surprise? Not really, I'm just kidding, but it's the A above middle C, the A4. So that's the second bridge. For the ladies, after they get through their first bridge, the sopranos and the mezzos and the altos, their second bridge begins at the E, the E5, E, F, F sharp. That's their second. By the time they get to the G5, head voice up there. So that's their second bridge. For me, where my voice bridges, the A below middle C, my second bridge is where the tenors and baritones bridge. The E, F, F sharp. Same for the contraltos. Their first bridge is where the sopranos bridge. The A, B flat, B, and C. A, B flat, B, C, and C sharp. They're all the way through. So that's the second bridge. The third bridge is another. Basically, so after. There's a pattern there. Did you see that pattern? You just keep going up the keyboard. For guys, unless you're a countertenor or a high tenor, most of us don't ever get into a third bridge kind of situation. We maybe vocalize there, but we don't really sing there. The ladies, however, can be in their third and even in fourth, and in some cases way up there. So that would be like the let's see, C5, C6. I've heard recordings of women singing on C7. And so that would be, so the top of the, let me see, the second, that'd be the first, I'm drawing a blank here, first bridge, second bridge, third bridge, fourth bridge, fifth, so that'd be the top of the fifth bridge. And so there are singers who do that, female singers. So there are these. So think back again on Pavarotti's comment about it's just this continuous figure eight. That's what is experienced as you go from one bridge to the next. This feeling of opening up into now a new room, and now you feel the approach to the next bridge, and then you open up into the next area, and then you feel the narrowing again, and so on and so on. Multiple bridges. I hope that answers the question. Where is the Passaggio? Where's the first? Where's the second? And so forth. All right. Let me get to this last question, then I'll just spend the rest of the time on answering your other questions. Why is the Passaggio in singing hard? Why is it hard? It's because it's hard. Number one, I think, is let's just take the first bridge. Why is the first bridge hard? And I know some of you, maybe it's not so hard. For me, it was like one half step at a time. I remember when I sang an F, I thought the heavens had parted and angels had come down. I mean, it was just, I just felt miraculous to me because there was no way I could ever sing an F when I was in high school. In fact, I wanted to, I didn't even audition for a part that had an F in it. It was Billy Bigelow in Carousel, and he closes his song, his soliloquy, with an F, a big sustained F, and I knew I couldn't do it, so I didn't even try out for it. Well, so to be able to sing an F in West Side Story, and actually that was a lower key than the actual show, but I sang Maria, and the ending note was an F, which I found out later was not the correct key. It was a lower note than it needed to be, but I was just, it was just elated to be able to do that because they're tough. Let's just one note at a time. And it's one thing to be able to say, I'm getting through my bridge and it's going up into my head, but then to be able to sing, so it's a challenge. Okay. Anyway, why is it hard? We don't know how to do it. That's why it's hard. If you don't know it's possible, number one, and then if you hear it's possible, you don't believe it's possible, number two, it's mental, you see. I remember having a lesson one time and I hit some, and he said, well, that was the A. You hit an A. And I thought, so? I could never sing there, but I can. I didn't believe it at first. You see, so we have our own limiting beliefs. We just don't think it's possible. And so when you hear, frankly, when I attended the first workshop that where I saw Mr. Riggs, they had some guest singers there or some people to demonstrate. And I thought, of course they got all these good singers here. Why would you bring somebody up that couldn't sing? And so I was skeptical. I hear all these great singers, and like someone said, well, they were born that way. It was my opinion. Oh, well, they grew up singing. They were born singing that. So I just had this resistance of, non-belief because I knew that I couldn't sing up above. That's why it's so hard. You don't know. First of all, you don't believe it, and secondly, you don't know there is a technique to learn to do it. Which brings me to the PDF called Get Your Vocal Type. I want you to get, if you don't have this, you want to download the PDF that's in the description below. It says free PDF, get my vocal type. Why? Because there are links on there to take a vocal test. Once you get your vocal type, which comes through that vocal test, then you get exercises for your vocal type. Guess what the exercises do? They take you right to your first bridge. All right? So that begins your initial venture into learning how to bridge, learning how to get through the Passaggio, the highway to heaven. I think it's kind of that way. Singing up in the head voice, it's like a highway to heaven, Unless you crack on the way up, or unless you pull your chest voice up, or unless you go really breathy, then you can't really, you can't blend your voice through the bridge, which is what happens. The technique teaches you how to stop cracking, stop pulling up the bottom, stop having to yell, stop having to belt it really hard, stop going very, very light or breathy, and learning how to blend the chest and the head voice together so that you can't really tell they're going through any kind of a bridge or a middle or whatever you want to. Some people call it a middle, and that's very appropriate. It ends up being the middle once you get the top and the bottom. Now you got that middle area. So many songs are right there, aren't they? All right, I hope. Now, what I've left unanswered here, please ask, or let me address some of these other questions here that you've given me. And then I'm going to have to call it here in 5 or 6 minutes. I do have students coming in at the top of the hour today. Okay. Ryan says, oh yeah, belting versus mixed voice. Do we need to belt if we're practicing singing at mixed voice? I have not found a need for that. Some people believe they do, and I think it's because they've given up on working on mix. If you spend the time on it and get your mix down, it gets very, very strong. If I said ma 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 ma, I don't know that I could. I saw it clipped there, the audio. Ma 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 ma. That's mix. Actually, it's in the head voice now. It's the same thing. Here's the F sharp. Ma 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 ma. Now I could open up the vowel a little bit and do other things, but that gives you kind of a sense. Now it took me quite a while to be able to do that, but I would much rather do that than just belt it. I've got a lot more. I think I've got a lot more control, because once you get that mix, ma 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 ma. I can crescendo, decrescendo, and do things like that with the mix. That's really, really hard to do. You're just belting. I've heard really strong, loud belt, and I've heard really, really soft belt, or soft singing, But the middle there, I've always felt like there was something missing. Mix really gives you some tremendous flexibility. Anyway, Riddick says, I'm a songwriter and making my own music. I can make my own songs, and my future plan is to record a demo tape of 10 songs and give it to a label. That's a great goal, Riddick. I think good for you, and press on with that. Definitely you want to. I think that's a wonderful goal to have, and you can do it. Yay, Ryan says, yay, they were born with a gift. We are not. So some people are really, truly born with a gift. And I've heard different people, it's rumored at least, that they had never had a voice lesson in their lives. And I believe it. I've heard that Donny Osmond never had a voice lesson. And, look what his career has been for, 40 or 50, 50 plus years. just what a, and there are others like him. We are better because we have no idea how to teach. So, but we better because they have no idea how to teach other compared to us that learn from scratch. And Ryan makes a good point, and I think this is one problem in colleges where gifted singers go and they get, and rightly so, they get the scholarships, and they get their bachelor's, and then their master's, and their PhD, and then they become the professors, and they've never had to learn from scratch like many of us have, and as a result, they're amazing, tremendous singers, and they're amazing, tremendous resources for repertoire and other things you could only get with that training. But you get somebody in there that can't get to the bridge, they don't quite know what to do. That happened to me. I had college teachers and or those who had their masters from in vocal performance couldn't help me. They didn't know how to do it. I had one teacher, PhD. He said, "I know there's a way to open up your voice. I just don't know how to do it." It happens a lot. So, okay. Ivan says, is a bass baritone and a high bass the same thing? I don't know. I think bass baritone is basically just a way of saying he's a baritone. And baritone and a high bass, I don't know that they are necessarily the same, Ivan. If you're a high bass, you're either a bass or you're a baritone. And I don't know what a high bass, how you differentiate high bass. A bass that can sing high, I guess by definition. How high? Is he only within his first bridge, or is he able to get through the bridge up into head voice and up, where the tenors sing? If he's a bass with tenor notes, then that might be something called a basso profundo, or a basso cantata, which is what my vocal type is. If I sang opera, that would be how I would be classified. I don't sing opera. I've sang some opera, but I don't spend time on that, and so I'm not too concerned about it. Just that I do know that it helps knowing where my bridge is, but I'm a bass with tenor notes. So I guess strictly speaking, I could be a baritone, but I can get lower than many baritones. Baritones can usually have a good solid G, but I've got a that's the E flat. I don't really go too much lower than that. Functioning in a song, I've got that note. So if I'm in an ensemble and I've got an E, I'll take it. Okay, so let me finish up a couple of these comments here. Like your voice. Thanks, Leo. Ivan says, Brendan Urick can sing 4 octaves. Yeah, there's some guys out there that have 4 octaves. I mean, I can vocalize on 4 octaves, I think. But I don't think I could actually sing in 4 octaves. Low, low C. But I'm growling. I wouldn't turn that singing. Not very good. The E flat. Pretty good. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that was my whistle. But, So, everybody's different, you guys. Love your voice. I love my voice. I'm very much accepting of it now. I used to not be, and I used to not like the sound of my voice, but that's all changed. Okay, so Ritka, who are the best singers in the world? Opera or R&B? Completely different. Who are the best animals? Cats or dogs? Or horses? I mean, I can't answer that question. Anybody want to take want to answer that? I mean, um, I've heard opera singers try and sing pop and so forth, and they can do it, but they don't sing it pop. They don't have the stylistic ability like a real pop singer has. It's fulfilling, and they're having fun, and I like to listen to. I mean, I think it's fun to hear them sing, and I like singing different genres. But if your whole life has been given to one genre, it's pretty hard to. There are some out there who can do it, but it's kind of hard to cross over to another genre and have it sound as good as somebody who's been in that genre all their lives. I'm sure you guys could give me some exceptions to that rule. Um, but like I say, I like hearing people venture into other genres. I think it's fun. Um, oh, there's a very famous female singer from the 60s, 70s. Um, Somebody can help me. I mean, she sang Blue Bayou. She sang with sang with the Eagles. She's sung country. She's sung opera. Uh, um, I could look it up here too. I always go blank on her name. Great. I think she's a great singer. She's done a lot of different genres, and she's done brought musical and so forth. I think she's one of the one of the exceptions. She's really done well. I think she sounded great in all of those different genres. But you can tell that her solos in Pirates of Penzance were not necessarily as magnificent as somebody who like Helen Sutherland, or is it Helen? Anyway, Sutherland, or other singers who've been given all their lives to opera. Somebody can help me with that. I'm sure that you could name that singer. Ryan says, "Thanks a lot, Chuck, for the lesson today. In case I fall asleep, I hadn't slept all day. Oh my gosh, Ryan, wish you a good day. Thank you very much. God bless you for your and thank you, Ryan. Thanks for the help. All right, thanks for everything today. That's from Joe. Dogs and horses are awesome. Linda Ronstadt. Yes, Joe. You got her. I think she's sang. I've heard her sing a lot of these different genres: country, pop, rock, opera. The and I think I've heard her sing some theatrical, some Broadway musical, and she does so amazingly well in all of them. What an icon! What a singer, and performer. Why do you think there's less baritones in pop music? Why do I think there are less baritones? Because I think that it seems to me like a high percentage of the pop songs are for the higher voices, with less heft, with less depth in them, and so they're more of a. And I'd say there's probably more baritones than tenors, and quite a few less true basses. But that's just the way it goes. If you're a bass with tenor notes, you can get up there and sing some of those, and they're a lot of fun. But it's just kind of the way in today's world, at least, music has gone, and it's gone with the high voice. Michael Jackson could sing all the way down to that, at least to the G. Maybe someone said he's gone down to the E. I haven't heard that one, but I know he can get way down there. But he sang, way up there. So that was his gift and his domain, which he ruled. and many others. So you kind of sing where your voice takes you. All right, I've got to run. I've got a student coming in 4 minutes. Thank you for joining me today. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live. I hope this has been helpful to you. If you haven't gotten your vocal type, get the PDF. Get my vocal type. It'll take you to exercises that will help you get right to the passaggio, to the bridge, and help you get through the bridge. If you have a light voice, it'll help. There are exercises that will help get it stronger, so you've got something to mix. If you flip into falsetto or break or crack, there are exercises to help you with that. If you tend to pull the chest voice up and have a high larynx, there are exercises for that particular vocal type. Or you may be one of those that are gifted, born with the ability just to mix. And there are exercises there for you that will challenge and further develop your mix. Thanks, everybody. I'm Chuck Gilmore with Power to Sing Live. And remember, you can sing higher through the passaggio into that highway to heaven with beauty, confidence, and power. See you inside the next video. Bye-bye.